Okay. Okay.
Okay, let me
It's up now.
try
Okay.
to
It's up
share
now.
again.
You can see it now.
Oh, it's
I
up
see your
now.
screen
I
now.
can see it now.
Okay, I hope there is no delay from my end. Let me go back to my PowerPoint slide. Can you see my PowerPoint slide?
Yeah, I can see it. Just went
Yes,
off.
we can see your PowerPoint slide.
It
Okay,
just went
so
off again.
thank you. Okay, so once again, I will say good afternoon for the 10th day of April 2021. And thank you all in the community. So the community will be active again as from today. So we'll be looking at so many things today. And I would like to quickly do a short introduction. My name is Ayodeji Folarin, and I'm actually the one managing and anchoring this particular community, that is MTT Naija PowerBI community. And I cannot do this alone without the support of the executives of this community. I can hear echo at the background. I hope it's not from my end. Okay. Now the executives, we'll get to know them later on as we move on. All right, let me quickly see what is causing this background noise. Okay, I think it should be better now. I can hear echo at the background.
Yes, it's better.
Okay,
It's better now, sir.
yeah, thank you very much. So the we have a lot of people in the community that have been helpful, and some people they've actually been helping in solving problems, facilitating our normal Saturday event. And I would like to encourage all of us. We can call on you anytime to do one or two things to lead a Saturday. So I want you to get prepared. There will be a lot of topic that will be shared with us. And the topic we will be looking at today is actually submitted by one of us. And we'll be looking at basics on DAX expression usage and functionality. And my big appreciation to one of us, a shout out to Shukutem Osai. He has been helping the community. All these graphics work you've been seeing is a great effort of one of us, Shukutem Osai. Thank you very much. So, the content for today, we want to know what DAX really means. What is the usefulness of DAX? Why are we talking about DAX? And what are the things you need to really get up and running with DAX? We also look at some DAX, types of DAX that we have, and we look at the syntax of DAX. That is the simple DAX syntax and is example of a complex DAX syntax. By the time you understand how DAX is being formed, then you will have a better understanding of what we're talking about. After that, we want to look at function and the categories of DAX functions that we have in Power BI, and we'll go into practical section. I want to tell you that is not what we'll cover and complete today. But today is to lay a very good foundation so that by the time you decide to take DAX to the next level, you will appreciate everything about DAX. So we are laying a foundation today, and I want to assure you we'll keep digging deep into DAX at least once or two times in a month. We are going to pick some DAX formulas and functions. We're going to discuss them. So, and please try not to miss any of our meet-up. Now let's go to DAX. What is DAX? That simply means data analysis expression. And we are talking about DAX is a collection of functions, operators, and constants. By the time you put all this together, then you can say, fine, you have a DAX. And these are the things that you can use in formulas or expression to calculate or return one or more values. Sorry, that is value, not properly spelled out. So, data analysis expression is a formula expression language used in analysis service, not only in Power BI. You also use it in analysis service, use it in Power BI, use it in Power Pivots, that is in Excel. And also you can use that in Management Studio, SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. So you can actually use that there as well. So that's formulas include function, operators, and value to perform advanced calculation and queries on data related to table and columns in a tabular data model. Please understand this, that is only used in tabular data model. We have multi-dimensional data model as well for data analysis, but you don't use that here, you use MDX, multi-dimensional, for multi-dimensional model. So let's look at the usefulness of DAX. Why do we really need DAX? Number one, DAX formulas are very useful in BI tools like Power BI, as they help data analysts like you to use your data sets they have to the fullest potential. If you don't know how to use DAX, in fact, the potential in your data model, I bet you are only using about 20%. You're only leveraging on the implicit function. You're only using the inbuilt DAX function, but you are not really using the power of DAX inside out. And for you to be able to do this, I will encourage you, let us go in depth. Is there any question for me? Okay. So let me continue. So, with the help of the DAX language, analysts can discover new ways to calculate data value. That's, sorry, where is that? Let me quickly check. Please, you can put your mic on mute, please. That will help us a lot. So thank you very much. And if you have any question, please, you can raise your hand. So I have Shukutem in the house. Shuks, please, you are going to assist me. If any hands is up, please just call my attention. Let me attend to it. So back to my slide. So we've seen the usefulness of DAX. It's just to help you bring out the potential, the power of your data. Most of the time, if you don't use DAX in your work, you find that you are going to limit a lot of things that you can do with the DAX calculation, which you are going to demonstrate shortly as we move on. So, as I said, today we are not going in depth. We are preparing a foundation for you. Most of the time, most people, when they start Power BI, when they get to DAX, they try to look at it as if something difficult. But I want to assure you, after today, you really fall in love with DAX, and you can build on what you learned today. And the community will also try to see how we can grow together. So, DAX formulas are used in measures, calculated column, calculated table, and also in row level security. Most of the time, we don't mention row level security, but you can also use your DAX formula for your row level security. Now, what are the prerequisites? Number one, for you to really enjoy DAX a lot, you must be very good in Excel formulas. For those of us that use Excel formulas a lot, I want to tell you, you are like 50% into DAX formula. Because most of the DAX formula is just an upgrade of the same formula you use in Excel. So that is also your Excel formula. So for those of you that are good in Excel, so you are welcome into the world of DAX. And number two, if you really want to enjoy DAX, then you must understand Power BI desktop. So if you are very new to Power BI desktop, I will encourage you to go to our past training last year, where we had Power BI made easy in 10 days. So, or is it 10 days or 10 hours? So you can run through the tutorial, and they are actually wonderful materials for us to leverage on. So if you are good in Power BI desktop and you are good in Microsoft Excel, I can bet you are fully ready to go in depth into DAX. And number three things you need to understand the basic concept of measures and calculated columns. So that is why we are here today. So the basic concept is what we want to deal with today. So that if you're already good in Excel and you're good in Power BI desktop, we are trying to fill in the third gap, give you that basic concept of measures and calculated columns. So that in our next meetup, we will now be going in depth into advanced formulas and functions around DAX. Now, types of DAX formulas. Number one, you can talk about calculated columns. Number two, you can talk about measures. You can talk about calculated tables. And I rightly said, you also have the row level security. So most of us are really silent about row level security, but these are things you should know that you can also use that in RLS. So I'm going to follow the order we have there. I'll start with the calculated columns. We'll look at calculated measure and we'll look at the calculated tables. So I guess we just do three. So later during our meetings, we can go into the row level security, definitely. So when you talk about calculated columns, anytime you are working in Power BI, you import a data from the source. After you've cleaned up that data, you have the data in Microsoft Power BI. Now that you have your data in Microsoft Power BI, there is need for some additional columns that do not come with that data. That column you add is what we call calculated column. Look at the name, calculated. You issue a formula to generate that column. The column did not come with your data from source. Now, how do you go about using calculated column? These are columns you add to the existing column in your table. So, number two, the DAX formula gets calculated for each row in the table. Unlike Microsoft Excel, if you issue a formula in Microsoft Excel and your record is about 2,000 rows, you have to stay on that formula and drag down, or you double click at the bottom right corner of that cell, and that will populate other rows beneath that particular cell. But when it gets to calculated columns, don't worry, you just issue the formula, it will get it done down the line for all the rows in that table. It calculates immediately. Anytime you issue a calculated column, a DAX formula for calculated column, you will see your answer. So that is one. And there is something about your DAX calculated columns. They are always stored in the memory. Please understand that. So by the time you get to measure, you will appreciate measure better. So if your transaction is about 3 billion transaction and you issue a calculated column, know that you've generated 3 billion cells. And by the time you have more columns, 3, 4, 5, 10 columns, you've generated up to 30 billion cells because the transaction itself is much. Now imagine all these columns you are adding, they are all staying in the memory. If you don't have a very fast system and large memory, then it's going to impact on your performance. So always know that calculated columns, they stay in the memory. And it gets recalculated on refresh. Anytime you refresh that data set, all your calculated column will be recalculated immediately. So I hope that is clear about calculated columns. Number 2, let's look at the measures. Measures, again, is not like calculated column. It needs an aggregator to work. We'll get to understand what aggregator really means later when we get to the demo section. But just know that measures cannot just fly like a column. It needs you to put an aggregator in your formula. Number 2, it gets calculated when you use it. Measure is not like column. That is why most of us, we fall in love with calculated column. The reason is that when we type our formula and we press enter button, you will see your answer immediately. You can pick up a calculator to confirm the figure that is been given to you. But when you issue a measure, the measure will stay there. The only time the measure will be calculated is when you use that measure. So let's understand that. And does not store in the memory. That is another important part. So it does not stay or store itself in the memory. So imagine you are not heating up memory when you are using measure. But when you are using column, all those columns will be calculated and you understand what it means. And why people are always telling you, do more of measure than what? Columns. So need context for computing results. By the time you issue a measure, if you don't put it on your canvas, if you don't drag the measure on your canvas, you will not see the result. It needs something to build up that result. So that is the importance of measure. The time you want to use it, that's when you see your results being calculated. So same formula produce different results. One wonderful thing about measure, you can use one measure formula, and once the formula is ready, you can use it with different slicers and filters, and you'll be amazed with the type of results you will get. And the next one we'll be looking at is the calculated tables. Calculated tables create new table on your model or introduce new data sets to your model. They are recalculated when the source table is updated. Now, anytime you are using calculated table, you are trying to create a new table. Maybe when you were importing from your source, you imported 5 tables from your source, and you feel you need more table. For example, there is no calendar table for your time series analysis, time intelligence analysis. You now felt, no, let me quickly create another table that will be my date table. To create that, I can use calculated table. Or I need another table from an existing table that will just give me some parts, not the full table. Or I want to combine 2 different tables together. I have January transaction, I've imported it into Power BI, and I've imported February into Power BI. Now, I've imported March also. I want to put January, February, March as quarterly report, put the 3 tables together. I can use a calculated table, a union function, to jump to join together those three tables and have maybe 100 rows in each of them, we now have a single table with 300 rows. So calculated gives you another table. Once you issue a formula, you always get a table in return. Unlike measure that will give you maybe a figure, a scalar, or any other details like that. So permit me to leave row level security for another meet-up time. Beautiful. Let us look at simple DAX syntax. Whenever you want to issue a DAX formula, this is a simple DAX formula. This is a simple DAX measure. I have the name of my measure. Let me see if you can. Okay. I have total quantity here. That is the name. And the measure is what I'm trying to calculate. In my data set, I have a column in that data. The name of the table is sales details. In my sales detail, I have a column in my sales detail known as quantity. And I want to have a measure that will help me add together all the quantity row by row, beginning till the end. So I want to call that measure total quantity. So this is the name of my measure. And anytime you give a name to a measure, you are free to put a space. Unlike some, your name can be anything. You can even put some special character like percentage, anything there, no problem. And after the name of your measure, you must follow it immediately with what? Equals sign. So total quantity equals what? So your equal sign is the operator. So bring in the equal sign operator to show that now the next thing that follows it is your formula. And whatever you get is going to store it in the name of your measure, total quantity. Now, what is the function I want to invoke? The function I want to invoke here is sum. Total quantity equals to help me sum. What should I sum? Sum for me, you must mention the name of the table you are referring to because this is a measure. If it's a calculated column, well, if you don't mention the name, it will know that you are referencing that same table. But if you are working on measure, is a must. Reference the name of your table. Now look at the name of the table. Sales detail. That is the name of my table. Sometimes your table will come with single quotes. That means your table name, you have a space. Maybe when we get to practical section, I will demonstrate it so that somebody was asking me, is it a must I put a quote on my table name? It's not a must. But by the time you have space there, please, that quote is necessary. So that is that. My sales detail, that's my reference table. And immediately after the sum, I will put, sum is my aggregator. I will put all this in a bracket. So parentheses that surround the expression I'm trying to pass in. And finally, I will have the reference name. So the column I want to talk to, I'm referencing this column, other quantity. Other quantity is in a table called sales detail. And what am I doing to the other quantity in sales detail? Help me sum it. When you sum it, equals to means dump it where? Dump it in the measure name. That is this simple expression. And we have this name will be a name in Power BI for a measure that I can reference again. Now, let me go to a more complex DAX syntax. This is more complex. What am I trying to do? Is the same thing, but I need the total quantity, not for the whole total quantity in my database, only for year what? 2014. Total quantity in year 2014. That is the name of the measure I'm talking about. And don't forget your equal sign operator. So you put it in equals to what? Calculate. In fact, we are going to spend one weekend, 1 whole hour to dissect this calculate function. It's a wonderful function you must know how to use. I will say it again, you must know how to use calculate function if you really want to enjoy Power BI as an expert. So this is the DAX function I'm invoking. That is calculate function. Calculate function, don't forget my parentheses. So my parentheses is surrounding all my expression. Good. Now, immediately after that, calculate what? I don't want to issue the whole formula I use here. This whole formula, I've given this formula a name. The name is total quantity. Now, I can reference a measure inside another measure. So I'm building another measure called total quantity. Total quantity in year 2014. But calculate, go and bring the total quantity you got previously. The total quantity for all the years is 20. Now, bring 20 here. When you bring 20 here, the next thing you should do, comma, go to my date table and look for a year on my date table. That year must be equals to 2014. I have passed in a what? A filter criteria. Comma is used to separate my expression from my filter argument on calculate. So help me do something. What is that? There is a table called date table. Good. You can see that this date table has a quote. Why do you have a quote there? Because there's a space here. So because I have a space here, that is why we have this quote. And which column am I referencing? I'm actually referencing the column here. Now, as I reference that column here, what value did I want? The year must be 2014. So go and check inside my table, inside this calculation you have done before, this answer you got before. Go into it and look for all the things that has to do with year 2014. All the quantities what you should sum together, not everything, and put it in this name, total quantity in year 2014. And that marks the end of this complex syntax. Now, we are going to look at functions. Functions are predefined formulas that perform calculation by using specific value called arguments in a particular order or structure. That is what I've explained to you here. So all what we have done here, we have used a function here, sum function. We have used another function here, calculate function. So function are what you use. Remember, a DAX function always reference a complete column or table. So anytime you're using a DAX function, you must always reference a column, a table. It can also reference another measure that you have done before. So now let's look at the function categories in DAX. These are the categories I said we are going to take one after the other. Every meetup, we can talk about date and time, where you're going to learn things like date diff, now, today, anything that has to do with date and time. We're going to break it down in depth. Another thing again is time intelligence. In fact, you cannot escape from time intelligence when you are using Power BI, because most of the things you're going to do, you are going to tell a story along time intelligence. You want to look at some functions like dates between, first date, last date, end of quarter, end of the month, year on year, lots and lots of functions around time intelligence. So you are going to dedicate a whole day to deal with this. And after that, we'll look at information. This is another category. It talks about information where you'll be referencing things like contain, custom data, lookup value, etc. We're also going to look at logic. There are a lot of logical functions in Power BI. things like and, or, if error, and many more. We'll go again into mathematical function, where we're talking about absolute value, acres, degree, and so on and so forth. We'll look at some statistical function. Most of them you are used to: average, count distinct, math, mean, and so on. We also look at text function, where we talk about concatenate, combine value, etc. We also look at parent-child function, part contain, etc. We look at others, so like data table, group by, error, and so on. And also we talk about tables itself. That's for calculated tables. So where we look at things like filter, value, distinct, and so on and so forth. So I think we are good to go to the practical section now. So before we start up the practical section, is there any question for me? Questions?
Yes, Mr. Deji, there's a question from Ayodeji.
Okay.
Now the question is, it said for the complex DAX example used, that date table was a column instead of a table. Now the question is, can one still be able to use it in a measure?
Okay. Sorry, let me quickly go back there. Date table. This date table that I have here is not, this is actually a table. This is the column in the table. The column in the table is year. The column in the table is year, while the name of the table is date table. So date table is not a column, please. It's the name of a table that we reference.
Okay, yes, I understand. Well done. My question is, if date table was a column, I understand that it's a table here, but if it was a column, would you still be able to use it in a measure?
Of course, but please, if you are going to call up a column in a measure, don't forget, do the full part. Mention the name of the table that column is coming from. You can use it as a column, please.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Okay, is that all the question, Shooks?
Yes, that's all for now.
Okay, I can see a hand up. Somebody is raising the hand. Who is that?
Yeah, sorry, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah,
Sure,
sorry. After the session, will you let us have access to the PowerPoint presentation?
Okay.
The manual, I mean, yes.
So the PowerPoint presentation and the video will be available on YouTube tonight or tomorrow.
All right, then. Thank you.
So thank you very much. So any other question? If there's no question, let me ask my question. Where is the chat? I guess all of us can see the chat window. So, okay, let me quickly ask a question here. You can drop your answer on the chat window. So, number one question. We have different types of DAX formula that you can use. Can you type one type of DAX formula? DAX are divided into three major parts in Power BI. What are those parts? I need you to quickly help me type it there. Let me see. If you know the DAX we have, just type it. The jar name is called DAX, but we have them in different types. Oh, are we sure we are following? I expect by now somebody should just type the answer and give it to me. Okay, as I'm waiting for somebody to do that. Oh, measure, Shweton, thank you very much. So you have measure, calculated what, Shweton? Okay, Benga, thank you very much. Calculated columns, measures, and calculated tables. And also row level security. Benga, thank you very much. It shows you are following back to back. So, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Deji, someone asked a question.
Okay.
Yes, During your presentation, you said something about recalculated. So the person asked that, what do you mean that the column will be recalculated? That was the question. So it came during the course of your.
Okay.
You mentioned something of that nature.
Okay, so thank you very much, Shooks. So please, what I will say is this. Anytime you issue a calculated column, originally you have 5 columns on your data sets, and you added 1 or 2 more columns. Those 2 columns you added, anytime you refresh that table, or anytime they update that table, don't forget those 2 columns will be recalculated again. Not that the answer that you have there yesterday will remain there today. Because somebody has refreshed or it has been updated, it will recalculate all your calculated columns. I hope that I've answered your question. If not, you can unmute to ask the question again. So thank you very much. Oh, I can see Oyebola calculated table. Thank you. Franca calculated table. I'm happy we are all flowing. Now let's go back into practical. So, okay, I quickly did my, what's it called, my slide today. So I just quickly did all this formula that I use in my PowerPoint slide. So these are the formulas. So I'm going to delete everything so that we can do it together. Now, where is delete button? Delete. Delete. Okay, now this is Power BI. Let me delete all these measures I have here. Delete. Where is my delete again? Delete from the model. Yes. Thank you. And delete this other one from the model. Delete this from the model. Where is it? Delete from the model. Yes. Now there is a data set that I'm using. Can I see the data set? Where I think it's on the desktop. Just a moment. Let me open the data set so that all of us can flow together. Good. This is the data set I'm using. Now, this data set has the following column. I can see the date key. Oh, sorry, that's B. Order ID, the date key, the channel key, promotion state key, product key, unit cost, unit price, and quantity. All what I have here, they are actually information about sales. But if you observe that most of the things we have here, they are key, and figures you can use for calculation. Now, any table that looks like this is always a fact table. Why this one is my product. I can see my product name, product subcategory, product category, and the product key. If I come to my sales, if you see a product key here, then if you want to know the name of the product or the product category or the subcategory, with the help of the key, I will know the name of the product. So that is why we have the product key here, and also we have the product key here. So on this page is a foreign key, while here is a primary key. If you don't know the difference between foreign and primary key, we can discuss this in another training. So this will not take more, so that I won't take part of our time. The same thing with my states, my promotion, and my channel. I brought in this data set into Power BI. You have the channel there. You have the channel. This is the channel. Come on. This is the channel. You have the product. This is the product I showed to you earlier. This is the promotion. This is the sales detail. And this is the state zone. Already, it has been modeled with the help of relationship and all those stuff. I have them here. So we are not doing relationship or those ones today. So the next thing we're going to look at now, what we're going to look at now is, at this point, we're going to look at how to create a calculated column and measure. So I'm going straight to my sales detail table. This is my sales detail table. On my sales detail table, if you give it a critical look, you will, from the original source, we only have unit cost, unit price, and quantity. As I'm clicking on them, observe my formula bar. There is no formula there because all these things came from the source. Immediately I go to other columns like this. Let me click here. This is a calculated column. That is why it's giving me what form this column. This column was called revenue. Revenue equals to what? Equals to my quantity, other quantity, which is this. Multiply it by unit price. Where's unit price? Multiply the quantity by unit price and call it my what? Revenue. That is, this is a simple DAX. And this DAX, we'll use it to generate a column, to get this column up and running. So if I want a new column, how do I create a column on my work? I can come here to my sales detail because that is where I want the column. I can right click on it and say, please give me a new column there. If I don't want to do that, from my home, I can say I need a new column. Just hit on the new column. When you click on the new column, you are free to express yourself. What is the name of the column? Please, this column should be called sales. Now, if I want to call this column sales, then can you give me what should form the sales column? The sales column should be a function of my revenue and profit. For those that are used to Excel, you'll be tempted to come here and click on revenue. Because in Excel, we can start a formula by equals to and click. But here, don't forget our syntax. Please always follow your syntax. Issue what you want and call up the column. Now, there is what we call IntelliSense in Power BI. Just start. I want to call up a column called order quantity and also a column called unit price. Start by pressing a square bracket. Once you press a square bracket, all the columns that exist in that table will come up. These are all the columns that exist in the table. So I need my order quantity. Multiply is the same way you do multiply in Excel. A square bracket again. I need my, is it sales? Unit price. Yes, I need my unit price. Can you see that? But please, the full expression. This is not a full expression. Power BI will not stop me. It will still give me the correct answer. So you will see my answer, sales, and these are all the answers. If these rows are running to millions or billions, don't worry, he has done it for me. Down, I don't need to drag down here. But this is the full way you express yourself. You don't just mention the column. You mention the table first, sales detail table. What I want is sales detail table. I want the order quantity. That means pick the order quantity from sales detail table, multiply it by multiply it by sales detail table, pick the unit price from the sales. I thought I have unit. Okay, yes, unit price from the sales detail table. Once I hit my enter key, I will still get the same answer. So this is a complete reference. But if you just mention order quantity, it will allow you to work, but it will pick the table you are sitting in. That is that. Any question? Is there any hand up? Okay. Now, because of time, let me stop there on columns. Columns is simple. Once you issue the column, you will see it. Now, let's go to measure. I want to build a measure. Somebody just asked me, this column of order quantity, it came with the data, but I want to have the total. If I go down the line, this transaction has 15,000 transactions. There is no total at the bottom. I need the total quantity that was given out. No problem. Please, I can quickly use a measure to get that. If you want to work on measure, please note this. You can right click on a table and say new measure. That means the measure will sit on that table. Please understand this. Measure can be anywhere. But if you don't select any table, for example, let me come here. I'm not going to select any table. I'm outside. If you don't select any table and you click on new measure from here, by default, the measure will stay on the first table you have here. So by the time you issue a measure, don't look for it. Always come to the first table if you not select any table. I always recommend right click on the table you want your measure to stay. I want my measure to stay here. I will right click here. Once I right click, I will now say, please give me a new, where is measure again? I can right click here. I don't want quick measure. I'll do my measure myself. Okay, no problem. Just select the table and say new measure is the same thing. So click there. Quick measure is like measure, but it helps you. It gives you some wizard assistance, some support. But let's forget about quick measure for now. Let's build our measure ourselves. Now, the measure I want to build, I said I want to have a column for my total quantity. This is the name I want to give to the measure. Total QTY. Total QTY should be what? Help me sum. What should I sum? That is the function. Open a bracket. Help me sum. Sum what? From my sales table, from my sales detail table, help me sum the the quantity, other quantity. Help me sum the other quantity from the sales detail table. As simple as that. Once I hit enter, the measure is ready. But measure is not like column that you will see your answer. You have to bring it up on your canvas to see. Where is the measure? What's the name? Total quantity. Your measure will come with a calculator icon. That's the icon for measure. Total quantity. This is the measure I just built. I can drag the measure to my canvas. Once I drag it to my canvas, I can give it a what? A card to see. This is the total quantity sold throughout that period. Now, let me come back to my data. Let me see. I can see 2013, 2012 here. I want to see all the quantities sold in 1 year in 2013. Now, what will I do? Give me a new measure. This new measure should be QTY sold only in 2013. That is the name I want to call the measure. Quantity sold in 2013. Now, what should be this measure? I want to use a function called calculate. What should I calculate? Please, your calculation. I don't want to give you the formula again. I've already used the formula inside total quantity. I am free to call a measure. Just start with a square bracket. All the measure you already have will show. I have used a measure before called total quantity, comma. If I don't want to use that, I'm free to retype the formula here. There is no crime. There is no harm in that. So total quantity, comma, equals to what? Please, my total quantity is what I want to calculate. I need a filter. Can you see it's guiding me? My filter context. My filter context is, there is a table. I have my date table here. I call it date table. Can you see? I have my date table. So this is not correct. So I will call up my date table. Please, my date table. My date table, there is a column in my date table called year. That year in my date table, make sure it is equals to 2013. And I will close my brackets. So this is what I'm actually working on. But go ahead and filter it. Make sure that your answer is what? 2013. And I will hit my enter button. With this, I will get QTY sold. That's another measure. Q. Where are thou? Oh, sorry. I did not select this table. That is why I drop it under calendar table. So let me drag this guy out and put it on my canvas. So show it as a what? As a number. This is the quantity that was sold in 2013. If I should come here call up the measure again, and alter the date here to 2012. Imagine I said equals to 2012, but I still left the name as 2013. The answer will be what happened in 2012. That is what you will see shortly. 81,000 was sold in 2012. This is 5 minutes to 4. It's a 1 hour weekly meetup. So permit me to stop here. Let me entertain questions. So by next week, we are going to take it from there. Thank you very much. Okay, question. I can see a question.
Yeah, there's a question from Oyebola Moya. The question is, what is the advantage and disadvantage of quick measure as against writing a DAX expression and vice versa?
Good. The advantage, let me quickly go back there. Where is mine? The advantage of quick measure is this. I will always recommend know how to type your measure. Is always good. Quick measure. So just right click and say, please, I want a quick measure. But before, I did not see new measure. Now it's showing. Don't mind it. Quick measure. When you click on quick measure, it will tell you your measure. I want to perform my measure on my sales data. What do I want on my sales data? Which type of measure? Look at, is it aggregate? Is it filter? Is it time intelligent? I want to know the quarter to date, or what that has happened from the beginning of the quarter up till now. That is what I want. Select quarter to date. It will start asking you questions. What is the base value? What's your date value? So quick measure is like a guide. You just drag and drop. Once you drag and drop, the next thing is it will give you your answer. I'm just dragging something. I'm not sure. Well, this one is date. Let me look for one date in my work and just drag there. Date. I thought I have dates here. This is date key. Just come and stay here. It's already complaining. So that is the essence. It will guide you and help you solve your problem. Because of time, we can spend another weekend to really talk about quick measure. Quick measure is like a wizard to assist you. I hope I've answered your question, Oyebola. Any other question, Shooks?
For now, no any other question, except maybe.
Rashid, your hand is up. Can you unmute and ask your question, please?
Hey, thank you, sir. My question is that the last quick measure you displayed now. I expect that the 2012 would be in a quote, but it's not in a quote, and you still get your answer. Why?
Why did that happen? Sorry, where is that measure? I think this is the measure. So I'm referencing a date, a year from a date table. Let me see the date table. Let me see the year from the date table. A year from the date table. Come on, where's the date table again? Date table. Call up the table. The year. The year. If you look at the year in this date table, it's towards the right. That shows that year is a number. My point, Rashid. Is a number, is not a test. And if you look at the format, is a number. But let me come here and change the format that look, going forward, I want you to become a test. Where is the test here? I want you to become a test. I have forced the year to be a test. Now, let's go back to our work and see the answer. Because it's a test, do you observe what happened to my work here, Rashid?
It's slow. I didn't see. Okay, now. Better now.
So,
I can
because
see now
I made it a test, now it's now telling me that I can't give you the answer because you are referencing a number. So in that case, I will follow your advice that says I should put it in a what? In a quote. Oh, sorry, double quote, not single quote. Now there is a serious, if I'm using SQL Server, it is single quote. Now I'm using Power BI, it should be double quote to pass in your value parameter. So with this, it should give me my correct answer now. Fantastic. So because it's a test, but if it's a number, you should understand. So when you get error, try to learn how to debug your error. So any other question, please? Okay. Adeyanju, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Ayodeji. I know it is not an agenda yet, but could you please help add forecasting to the agenda? So, Adeyanju, no problem. There is a feedback form you will fill. Anything you want us to talk about, please put it there. And on the meeting chat, oh, thank you, Shooks. Shooks has dropped a feedback form. Please fill that feedback form. On the meeting chat, on our WhatsApp group, please feel free to drop anything you want on the WhatsApp group, please. And somebody, I had a chat with one of us today, that is Bemiga. So the WhatsApp group is already filled up to capacity. So he's suggesting he wants to create a Benga, are you there?
Telegram.
Yes, Telegram, yes.
Okay, Benga is suggesting he wants to create a Telegram group for us so that he can have more people, because he narrowly joined us today. So please, Benga, thank you very much for volunteering to support. Create the group and let's have more people in the Telegram group and help us manage it. Thank you very much, Benga. So that's our feedback form. Let's fill the form, and whatsoever problem you have in your office, feel free to drop it in that group. There are a lot of professionals in that group. You might not know them, but don't worry. Drop it in the group. Once you drop it in the group, you'll be shocked that people will attend to you. And please, you may not share your confidential information with anybody on the group. Please, anytime you need support, you can, if there is need for you to show your data, you can remove some confidential column and share so that they can help you. So feel free, let us grow together as a community. So Rashid, this is a great section, and I want to appreciate you for your time. Thank you very much, Rashid. Thanks so much for giving your time to grow this community. Definitely we all grow together. Thank you for that comment. It's a wonderful, in fact, I love comments like this. It's an encouragement. We'll keep doing what we can do best. So thank you all. Fill the feedback form and let us grow together. Drop your question on the community. Any topic you want us to discuss, drop it. We will always attend to it. We are here to grow together. We'll get there. So thank you. Is there another question? If there's no question, I will stop the recording section.